From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page. From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the NASCAR for Amateurs Pony Express Truck Series Live here. 2 minutes remaining before the final opportunity to get yourself into the playoffs. Welcome once again, Matt, in the booth one more time here tonight. We're going to go have some fun this evening, and man, are we going to have a good time in just a moment. Thank you guys for coming out. We're going to go racing in just a moment. So we will go racing in just a moment. But right now, we are going to go racing at Las Vegas. And I tell you what, it's going to be fun to see who locks themselves into the playoff. Right now, it is Mark Dillon Jr. that's hanging on by a thread here. 5 points over Austin Bloom in the Final Four. One of these two drivers are going to make their way on to Homestead in 1 week's time to compete for a championship. The other one is not going to go well. I talked to Mark again before tonight's race. We talked about the fact he missed last week. Had he not missed that, it'd have been about a 20-point lead. But the situation he's in, he's got to get up after it and get it done here this evening. Thank you guys for coming out. We are ready to go. Racing 5 points, the difference between Austin Bloom, the Sheriff, Mark Dillon. Man, this is going to be fun here as we're about 30 seconds away from race time here tonight. And it's going to be a great, great race all the way through here. And we'll get ready to get at it in just a moment. As we get ready to get at it here. And it should be a fun one all the way through here tonight. So as we get ready to fire this thing off here tonight at Las Vegas, Nevada, let's get ready to do it. Here we go. Everybody's ready to go, gridding up, and we'll go racing here in just a moment here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Here we go, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, ready to rock and roll. Let's take a look at what we got here for a starting lineup here tonight. Here is your starting grid. Row number 1 is going to be Nick Sargent, Austin Bloom, trying to race himself in the playoffs, starting second. Starting third here tonight, Zach Purcell, Ryan O'Donohue, fourth. Fifth, Anthony Williams, Timothy Emanuele, sixth. Seventh, going to be Mark Dillon Jr., Brad Yorkman, Tyler Burgett, Brian Wright in 10th. And that'll be your 10 trucks to go at it here for 102 laps here tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway to set your final lineup for the playoffs. Final 4 will move on to Homestead 1 week from tonight. That should be fun as well as we get ready to do that in just about 1 week's time. Thank you guys for coming out tonight as always. We'll get ready to do battle here from Las Vegas. You love to gamble at a place like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and for two guys at least, I think you're going to have to do everything you can. All the stops are going to have to get pulled out of the book to figure out what you got to do to go to victory lane or finish in front of the other guy here to get into that round of 4 1 week from tonight when we go to Florida for that. And I mean, that is going to be a blast getting to Florida 1 week from tonight. But let's talk to some of the guys down here. Austin's not in chat, but we do have the Sheriff, Mark Dillon. Hey, Mark, Matt in the booth real quick. You got me, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, buddy. Well, it is go time tonight. You got an opportunity to go to the Final 4. Just got to keep the truck clean, but no mistakes, right?
Well, yeah. Got to finish a little bit further up towards the front, but, you know, it is what it is. It was worth it. I skipped a playoff race to take my son to a baseball game because he'll remember that. He doesn't remember what the fuck I did in this race, so.
There you go, man. Well, good on you, dude. Go get it done, man. Hey, there's room for both, right? Go to the baseball game last week and get in this week. There you go.
We'll see.
All right, best of luck, Mark.
Thanks, man.
All right, here we go. Getting ready to go. Field out of turn number 2. Headed down the back straightaway here tonight to get this thing rocking and rolling. Again, thank you guys for coming out as always. This should be a fun one here tonight. Pace car lights are off. 102 laps to decide it. Who is going to go on to Homestead to battle for a championship? And who is going to get the crying towel here tonight? We're going to find out of turn number 4. Pace car lights are off. Trucks are ready to go. Here we go. Playoff racing. Out of turn number 4. Here we come. Green flag going to go in the air at Las Vegas momentarily. Here we go. Green flag is out. We're rolling at Las Vegas. And nice start there across the field. Everybody pretty even. 102 laps here tonight. Bloom out there. Nick Sargent right there as well. Bloom, nice looking ride there for the number 9. Side by side down the back straightaway here. Sargent going to hold him at bay. Mark Dillon Jr. on the top side as they enter the 3 and 4. And every truck on the racetrack right now side by side with somebody. The first lap of this one looks like a parade lap as they come down the front straightaway. The 61, Nick Sargent, going to lead lap number 1. Sargent, great job. He'll officially lead lap 1. We'll get the trucks back down on the white line. The Fruity Pebbles, 61 Toyota Tundra leading the way. Eating him some Fruity Pebbles out in front of that number 9 of Austin Bloom. Bloom wasting no time to get to the rear deck lid of Sargent. These top 2 nose to tail right now. So wasting no time right now, and it's a little bit interesting to watch and see Mark Dillon Jr., Tyler Burgett right there in the Pony Express ride, hanging in there as well. 3 complete of 102 here tonight. Great racing overall here in this race early. Purcell and Anthony Williams, Brian Wright. But it's Nick Sargent continuing to lead here tonight at Las Vegas. Austin Bloom there as well. The Bloom man. 4 laps on the board of 102. Ryan O'Donohue. Mark Dillon Jr. hanging on. There's Jr. fighting through here as well, doing a wonderful job. Nose to tail once again. So nose to tail, the pack is up front at least. But I'm telling you, this is going to be one of those deals where you're just going to have to take care of the truck all evening long. And as they fight through right now. Right now, guys are going to move back and forth at the moment. Up front, a little bit of diciness right at the moment, but everything's still pretty well okay. Doubleheader tonight at Vegas. Keep that in mind. Doubleheader here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 5 on the board here for the Pony Express, guys. Austin Bloom right now leading the way. Timothy Emanuele, the 39, right behind him. Nick Sargent there as well. Everybody doing what they can. 7 on the board of 102 this time by. Right at the moment, nose to tail up front. Timothy Emanuele runs second. Nick Sargent runs third. Great racing up here up front. 6 on the board. Bloom leading right now. Timothy Emanuele trying to put pressure to the back bumper of Bloom. Trying to force him into a mistake here later in the night. That's your number 1 goal. Stay right there on him. Force him to make a mistake. It's a really sound strategy here. And with 7 laps on the board, pretty clean here, at least through the first 7. That's going to make it even more difficult. And everybody hanging on nose to tail. That's Timothy Emanuele right there. Timothy right there, the 61 and Nick Sargent. Ryan O'Donohue, big move to the bottom. Emanuele going to get the inside on the 9 machine of Bloom. That was a big move to the bottom, but he's going to get loose. That's going to let Bloom get back underneath. That green number 9 Ford F-150 back to the inside. Austin Bloom going to try to battle his way to the race lead. Underneath the 39 of Emanuele. Emanuele gives him room. The 61 Sargent trying to follow through. Great racing up front. Tires really haven't had a chance to wear just yet. Here at Vegas, side by side, leading the way. Out of turn number 4 is going to be Austin Bloom. Timothy Emanuele just a little bit behind right now. Austin Bloom still doing what he can. The Bloom man still continuing to hang on. So interesting to watch these guys do battle, at least at the front of the pack right now. Everybody all over one another. It's going to be so interesting to watch down the back straightaway. A little bit of side draft out of those two trucks. You start seeing that guy lay on that left rear fender. That'll pull that inside truck back just a little bit, maybe. That's your hope when you do that each and every time. Guys up front doing what he can. Timothy Manuel, Nick Sargent, Ryan O'Donohue in the top 2 or 3 cars as well. Right now, 11 on the board of 102. Down the back straightaway, side by side. That's the 31 of Ryan O'Donohue with Mark Dillon Jr. in tow. Everybody right there with one another here. Still very early on in this one. Very, very early on. Here tonight at Vegas, you see Anthony Williams, Mark Dillon Jr. Up front here is going to be the 61 machine of Nick Sargent, continuing to try to work his way to the inside. He'll get down there, half a truck down to the bottom. Now a full truck to the inside right now of Timothy Emanuele. Great job, side by side, 13 on the board this time by. 13 of 102 laps in the books here. They continue to do battle right now. Back down the back straightaway they go. Nose to tail up front right now. 13 of 102 complete. Bloom leads it. Emanuele second. Donahue third. Sargent fourth. That's the way they run right now. That is the way they run right now. 14 of 102 complete. Now, as they continue to do battle at the moment, everybody hanging on right now. As they hang, as they hang on right now, nose to tail up front. Austin Bloom continuing to lead right now. 15 laps on the board. Man, oh man, this is going to be oh so interesting as they continue to rock and roll. 16 and 102 on the board here tonight. Everybody hanging on right now. 16 on the board of 200 here this evening. Bloom leads. There's Mark Dillon Jr. Look at that. Mark Dillon Jr. going to make the charge to second. That's going to be a big move for him. Mark Dillon Jr. right there in the battle as well. Nice job for Mark Dillon Jr. to move forward. Wonderful job there on his behalf. 17 at 102 in the books here tonight from Las Vegas, Nevada. What can you do as they continue to do what they need to do right now? Right now, 18 on the board, hanging on right now. $18 and 102 complete here. Everybody single file. 19 on the board. Dillon Jr. up to second. Timothy Emanuele to third. Ryan O'Donohue to fourth. Fifth right now, Anthony Williams. Sixth, and Nick Sargent, Zach, Brad, Tyler, and Brian, all right there in the top 10. But Austin Bloom continuing to lead the charge at this very moment. Austin Bloom continues to lead the charge at the front of the field at the moment. So interesting to watch. 20 on 102 complete here. And right now, 20 on 102 in the books. Mark Dillon Jr. setting second. Timothy Emanuele setting third. Ryan O'Donoghue fourth. Anthony Williams fifth. That's your top five. 20 complete this time by. Everybody trying to be as smart as they can for the moment. Right now, Austin Bloom leading the way. Hanging on out front. 0.5 of a second back to Mark Dillon Jr. at the moment. As they fight through single file right now. And what's so interesting, Timothy Emanuele sitting there in third. What about Ryan O'Donoghue? Right on the back bumper of Timothy Emanuele at the moment. It's going to be so interesting to watch Ryan O'Donoghue try to work his way forward just a little bit. Ryan O'Donoghue doing a great job moving forward right now. O'Donoghue hanging on. Austin Bloom leads. Mark Dillon Jr. in second right now. Right now, Bloom, Dillon Jr., Emanuele, Ryan O'Donoghue, top three. Mark Dillon Jr., 23 laps in. He'll head the pit road. 4 fresh tires and fuel for the number 3 truck. That F-150 will come down. 4 fresh tires and fuel this time by. He'll start the green flag pit stop cycles. Great job. He'll work his way through here to pit road. Wonderful job there out front. Austin Bloom leading. They worked through 124 on the board this time by. 4 of 102 complete. 25 this time by. Timothy Emanuele out front leading. So Timothy Emanuele out front leading. Ryan O'Donoghue right there in that second spot at the moment. What kind of moves can you make here? Ryan O'Donoghue is second. Nick Sargent coming down in third. Bloom. Zach Purcell there as well. And they'll start to roll back out one more time. Caution. 26 complete. Nick Sargent out front leading. Right now, we got a couple more rolling off a pit road here. Great job. He'll get on the gas and pull off a pit road. That's the 61 re-entering the racetrack here. Nice job. He'll get back out there and get back at it. Rolling once again here. Now out for Austin Bloom continuing to lead here tonight. Mark Dillon Jr. in second. Bloom leads. Mark Dillon Jr. P2 here. Great job between those two right now. 27 on the board of 102 scheduled for tonight. Right now, Bloom and Dillon Jr. 1 and 2 at the moment. How is this going to work out? Here comes Mark Dillon Jr. He'll jump to the inside of Bloom. Bloom going to cover. Remember, these guys battling for a playoff spot here tonight. One of these two going to make it to the Final Four. Man, oh man, oh man. Austin Bloom, Mark Dillon Jr., P2 at the moment. Two, 28 of 102 in the books. Dillon gonna move to the bottom. Clear. Mark Dillon Jr. back to the race lead. Austin Bloom to second. Mark Dillon Jr. trying to make it work. Missed the race last week. Took his son to a ball game, trying to come back and make the ninth inning move here to get into the playoffs. What a night it would be for him if he could pull it off. And this is going to be interesting as can be. Mark Dillon Jr. leading. Mark Dillon Jr. trying to hold on. You get the win, you're in. Get right now 30 on the board. 30 of 102 complete here. Right now, top two cars pulling away at the moment. And oh man, up front, here comes Bloom. This is the battle tonight. Timothy Emanuele right there with Anthony Williams in that third and fourth spot. Nick Sargent right now sixth as well. Mark Dillon Jr. out front leading. Trying to be the sheriff. Trying to get to the final four in a week from tonight. Doing a great job right now. He's 8 laps into this stint. Back out of front of Austin Bloom. There you go, Mark Dillon Jr., Austin Bloom, Timothy Emanuele right there in the 39. What about Anthony Williams? Nick Sargent there as well. $33 on the board. Mark Dillon Jr. leads here tonight. So interesting, as they can't continue to try to figure it out here. Right now, 34 on the board this time by. Right there, everybody hanging on, doing a great job. Right now, everybody hanging on. 34 on the board. Here tonight at 102. He knows the tail at the moment. Right now, 35 complete. Still single file up front. Bloom staying right there with them, though. $35 of 102 complete. There's Bloom. There's Nick Sargent back there as well. Hanging on right now, nose to tail. Mark Dillon Jr. out front. Austin Bloom, Timothy Emanuele, Anthony Williams, Nick Sargent right there as well. Tyler, Brad, Brian right there. Timothy Emanuele leading. Or Timothy Emanuele there in third, not leading, excuse me. It's Mark Dillon Jr. leading. Austin Bloom trying to stay on the back bumper. Mark Dillon Jr. not trying to let his championship competitor in the midnight moon machine get in there and get it done. two guys locked in. Now, here's the kind of the situation. With Stephen Thompson missing this one, in theory, and now this is in theory, it's going to be very tight here between Ryan O'Donoghue and Austin Bloom and Mark Dillon Jr. when all this works out. That is going to be the question. It's about a 20-point gap. One of these two trucks will be in, one truck will be out. Who's it going to be? The 9 machine going to go to the top. Trying to look for a way around Mark Dillon Jr. And yeah, you want to play the bonus points for the stage. But I truly feel like it's going to take a win tonight to guarantee yourself in. Austin Bloom giving chase. Right there in that number 9 machine. Young not here tonight either. But again, Young locked in for next week. That's going to be big. What a battle we're going to have when we get to Homestead, when we find out who this final truck is. Because right now, with 40 on the board, it is all up in the air. This is going to be great. 40 complete at Las Vegas. This is definitely a duel in the desert here tonight. Between these two trucks, they've gapped the field by about 1.7 seconds. Anthony Williams back here trying to get around Timothy Emanuele. Nick Sargent there as well. And again, before we go much further in this thing, think about what this means if you get either Austin Bloom or Mark Dillon Jr. in this playoff. Both trucks have been good all year. Mark Dillon Jr., the most winningest driver of the season, right there as well. What is it going to take? Is the $1 million question. $42 on the board. Hanging on right now. Timothy Emanuele on track. Oh, this is going to be so good. Nick Sargent. Mark Dillon Jr. starting to pull back away. Right now, nose to tail up front. $43 on the board. This time by. $43-44. Right now, 44 this time by, nose to tail up front. Mark Dillon Jr., Austin Bloom, 1 and 2. Who is going to pull this off? Man, oh man, Mark Dillon Jr. covering to the bottom. Great job. He'll get down in front of Bloom. Nothing Bloom can do about it right now. Oh boy, this is going to be such an interesting race here to the end between these two drivers. We have had no cautions so far tonight. It's been a green flag feel over the first 45 laps, and they continue to do just that. I don't expect a lot of yellows here tonight. It's not something Pony Express usually has a problem with. Mark Dillon Jr., though, leading. No real battles anywhere else on the racetrack right now. You see you're riding on board as the sun continues to go down here at Vegas. That may contribute to the track changing a little bit, but I don't expect it to be a major shift for these trucks here tonight. I don't think we're going to be racing long enough for after sundown for it to be a major shift in the race. I think the guys that are good right now are going to continue to be good. Battle heating back up between Bloom and Dylan Jr. You see Bloom right there, right behind that Midnight Moonshine machine. That Midnight Moon just in front of him. Lap traffic trucks just up ahead. You see right there on board one of them, Brian Wright. He's going to have the leaders coming. Bloom, though, able to run the upper middle groove. Good run out of turn 4 for Bloom. With 48 going on the board this time, Bloom within a couple of truck lengths. He'll jump back to the middle groove. Truck going to get out of shape. And again, another big run down the back straightaway. Trying to get to the back bumper. The middle groove, there goes Mark Dillon for the second stop of the night. Mark Dillon Jr., first one to pull down. He'll give the lead back to Bloom. Nice and smooth, back to the bottom of the racetrack for the Midnight Moon machine. Again, that's the Midnight Moon race truck you're seeing right there. What kind of decisions do you make here? What kind of decisions do you have here, Captain? He's going to come off of pit road once again. And they'll continue to work through this. It's going to be very interesting to see how this works out as they continue to run 50 and 102 complete here tonight. So they continue to do just that, 50 on the board this time by. Everybody else hanging in there. So much interesting stuff going on in this race. Here tonight, Austin Bloom out front leading. More trucks on pit road. Here comes Timothy Emanuele down. He'll get tires and fuel on that truck. So Timothy Emanuele will come down, tires and fuel as well. As they run 51 on the board. 51 on the board this time by Mark Dillon Jr. out front leading. .51 on the board this time by. Dillon, Bloom, Emanuele, Nick, Anthony, Tyler right there as well, but Mark Dillon Jr. continuing to lead. Mark Dillon Jr. sitting right there in the back in the race lead. Once again, Austin Bloom after his stop here, kind of cycling back between these two drivers. Austin Bloom back to second now. Right now, about a second off of Mark Dillon Jr. Going to be very interesting to see, I have to say, which one of these two trucks with the strategies they're running is going to pay off the best here tonight. This is a relatively short race, continuing to knock the laps down here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Going to be a very, very interesting finish to this thing, I think, later in the going. Going to be so interesting to see which truck is going to play the strategy right, and quite frankly, which one's going to play it wrong. They got a 6 seconds lead over Timothy Emanuele. As Bloom right now back to the back bumper. Bloom able to run Mark Dillon Jr. back down here. 2 lap pressure tires. Let's see if he can take advantage of it. I mean, he is there. Dylan's truck got away from him. So did Bloom's, though. He clipped that apron, pushed the front of the truck up. So that's going to cause the front of the truck to wash out. He'll hang on, though. Great job. 55 of 102 complete here tonight. .55 this time by. Here tonight, 56 on the board. But right now, 56 of 102 laps complete here tonight at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Austin Bloom back to the back bumper once again. Dylan Jr. out front, continuing to lead. What can he do to hold Austin Bloom at bay? Just keep that truck in dirty air. That's about the only thing you can do. Don't let him poke that nose down underneath you. You see Bloom trying to cut under, trying to get that left front fender to catch a little bit of that air in the corner to help shove that nose down, to give him some rotation to get under Dylan. But right now, the plan's not working. Oh, sorry, my bad, folks. Hit the button there. But man, what a race it has been so far. So interesting to watch them nose to tail right now. .58 on the board this time by. And Bloom. Mark Dillon Jr. right there as well. 59 on the board of 102 this time by. .60 on the board at the stripe. Right now, Bloom and Dillon nose to tail. .60 complete here. And we continue to close in on the end of this one. .60 on the board. Mark Dillon Jr. continuing to lead right now. Mark Dillon Jr. leading right now with Austin Bloom right there in second at the moment. So they run 61 on the board of 102 this time by. .62 this time by, hanging on nose to tail. Right now, Mark Dillon Jr. holding serve with Austin Bloom right there with him. And man, oh man, so interesting to watch here. 62 complete this time by, nose to tail. And I mean, right now, I don't know that there is a clear-cut winner at the moment. Mark Dillon Jr., Austin Bloom right there as well. Timothy Emanuele in the mix. Right now, Timothy Emanuele, Austin Bloom, second and third. Here comes Anthony Williams there as well. Anthony Williams trying to hang on at the moment. Doing a decent job of it right now. Anthony Williams hanging on. just behind Timothy Emanuele. Five on the board this time by as they work their way through. $65 this time by Mark Dillon Jr. right now leading. Austin Bloom there as well. So they run nose to tail right now. 65 on the board. Can Mark Dillon Jr. hold Austin Bloom at bay? That is the question. Be so interesting. 66 on the board with Dillon and Bloom 1 and 2. So, you look at Bloom continuing to duck down, trying to duck that car underneath and just cannot get there, but continuing to try to get just underneath of him there. So interesting. We'll see how this works. Mark Dillon Jr. up front. Austin Bloom giving chase. Anthony Williams there as well. Timothy Emanuele, Nick Sargent. You see right now Emanuele trying to close in on Anthony Williams at the moment. So interesting. Dillon Jr., Bloom, Williams, top three. $69 on the board this time by. Right now, 70 on the board. Nose to tail at the moment. Here tonight. A 70 on the board. Mark Dillon Jr. continuing to lead right now. Up front, Mark Dillon Jr. continuing to lead over Austin Bloom, who is in second. Really interesting here, 70 and 102 complete. 70 and 102 in the books. This time by Mark Dillon Jr., Austin Bloom, Tim Anthony Williams, your top three. Top three here tonight as they continue to do battle. This is going to be so interesting. 71 this time by. Right now, 72 on the board this time by. And look, there goes the 5 of Williams, going to take it by Bloom. There we go. The Bloom going to slide back a spot. Mark Dillon Jr. continuing to lead. But Anthony Williams closing in here. That number 5 trying to spoil the party. And look at that. He's just going to drive by Mark Dillon. That truck came out live. Look at that number 5. Great job. He'll pull ahead. Right now, 74 of 102 complete. Right now, 74 this time by nose to tail right now. So Anthony's Williams truck coming alive there. Mark Dillon Jr. electing to hit pit road here. Smart move by Mark to go ahead and get down pit road once he started losing ground to get that thing down there. And yeah, I mean, that 9 truck of Bloom right there seems to be trying to run as far as he can here. You kind of said that right. The 9 able to save a little bit of fuel out front at least. 25 on the board here tonight. 76 of 102 in the books. So he's 25 laps into the stint. He's going to have to make it about 27 more. To think about this, he's right there on the number. He's going to cross 26 this time by. Bloom looks at it here, 26 to go. "26 laps to go here at Las Vegas." The number 9 of Austin Bloom really stretching the fuel mileage. "26 laps to go." He'll probably hit pit road maybe this time. Let's see. He's 26 into the stint, 26 to go. He'll hit pit road, fuel, and tires. So if he can predict the same thing there, he can do it once again and make it stretch. Down pit road he comes. Fuel and tires, 25 to go. Timothy Emanuele coming down. Nick Sargent coming down. Mark Dillon Jr. going to do 27 laps on this tank. Dillon Jr. going to be asking a lot of that truck. He's got to save quite a bit here to get to the end right here. And the good part is he'll take back the race lead from Bloom right here in a moment. So Dillon going to get by Bloom. Going to be roughly a second and a half, 2 seconds. There's the 5 of Anthony Williams trying to run him back down as well. Williams truck really fast. Dillon Jr. out front leading. Here comes Anthony Williams. Now Williams pressing that truck pretty hard in the early run here. How far can you run, and when do you need to start saving? Here comes Williams. He's going to jump to the outside of Mark Dillon Jr. Now, again, Mark finishes in front of Bloom. I do believe it's going to be Mark going in on points. 80 on the board. 23 to go. 23 to go here, and look at this. The 5 going to pull down a little bit. Give them some room to the outside. 80 of 102 complete. 80 laps complete here tonight. We've been single file and green flag throughout this race. Timothy Emanuele, Nick Sargent, Brad Youngman right there in the battle. That Fruity Pebbles machine going to get underneath Timothy Emanuele to make the move to the inside. $81 on the board, 22 to go here tonight. 2 laps to go in this one right now. Side by side, here we go. Timothy Emanuele on the top side. trying to hang on for now. 81 laps complete. 81 laps complete. 82 on the board. Man, so interesting. '82 this time by Mark Dillon Jr. out front now of Austin Bloom by 1 spot. Williams has lost a spot to Bloom. Lap traffic, they're going to work by with 20 laps to go. It's going to be all about fuel mileage to the end. You're going to have to save here tonight. $19 laps to go. Continue to save fuel if you're Mark Dillon Jr. Mark Dillon Jr. with 19 laps to go in this thing. What does he need to do to the bitter end? Man, so interesting. 19 laps to go. 19 to go. So right now, coming to 18 to go this time by. Field looking at the end of this one. Dillon Jr., Austin Bloom, don't look now, but here comes that number 5 truck trying to spoil the party. Man, 17 laps to go here. Going to be very interesting. Final 17 laps. Austin Bloom. There is Anthony Williams playing spoiler. Williams was like, hey, I'm here too. Not in the playoffs though, so that's not going to help him. Going to be a very interesting finish as the trucks continue to run single file. 17 laps to go. 17 to go here tonight. Going to be a very, very interesting finish. Fuel is what people's going to be screaming about right now. Bloom giving chase to Dillon. Dillon's got to go about 3 laps further than Bloom. 15 to go this time by. Look at Bloom. Put the pressure on the back bumper of the 3. He'll try to duck underneath, nothing doing. 15 laps to go in this one. The Midnight Moonshine Machine trying to finish this one out. Midnight Moonshine, 15 to go. What can you do? Nose to tail, diving off of one another once again. 14 to go. 14 to go, really tight to each other's bumper. Mark Dillon Jr. and Austin Bloom. 14 laps to go here. What kind of move can you make? With 14 to go, 13 now. Dillon Jr. 13 laps away from making the Hail Mary move to get in the playoffs. All he's got to do is stay right where he's at. The most winningest driver of the year. Mark Dillon Jr. and Austin Bloom doing battle. 2 to go. This is going to be very interesting here to the end. 11 laps to go. What can you do? 11 to go. It'll be so interesting to watch here. 11 laps to go this time by. $11 to go. Austin Bloom right now leading. For second with Mark Dillon Jr. right there as well. So interesting to watch these two trucks do battle. The 5 not far out of range either. Mark, though, doing a wonderful job. Oh, what do you do? What do you do? And to go. Mark Dillon Jr. is going to need to go 28 laps. Can he do it? I think that is going to be the question. Oh boy, 9 to go. Intensity wrapping up. Here comes Bloom to the outside. He knows he has to pull this off. Bloom to the top. Austin Dillon right there as well, doing everything he can. Nose to tail, side by side. Here comes the 3 on the bottom. New race leader, give it to Austin Bloom. Oh boy, oh boy, 8 to go. 8 laps to go. Well, there you go. Austin Bloom getting around Mark Dillon Jr. Mark Dillon Jr.'s hopes of the Final Four slipping through his fingers. His best help will be Anthony Williams to get up there and get around Bloom now. And make it a points deal. Here we go, 7 to go. Anthony Williams right there as well, nose to tail at the moment. 7 to go. Mark Dillon Jr. up the hill there. Anthony Williams is going to get alongside. Bloom pulling away in the 9 truck. Bloom looking to lock himself into the playoffs. There's the 5. 6 to go here. 6 to go. There goes the 5 of Williams around him. Junior to 3rd. Just a little bit too much for Mark Dillon Jr. Truck going away. Austin Bloom continuing to lead. What about Austin Bloom coming into this one tonight, knowing the situation? Oh, so interesting. As you see Bloom leading right now. 5 laps to go. Very, very interesting to watch. As you got Bloom out front, just hoping he's got enough fuel to make it all the way he should. He's got about 2 more laps than even Anthony Williams. And then 3 more laps than Mark Dillon Jr. Mark Dillon Jr. going to fight back on the top. Trying to do something, anything. Williams going to cover. But I do believe Mark is in trouble here and he knows it. I think Mark knows his hopes are slipping away quickly here with 3 to go. Well, Bloom played this perfectly tonight. Austin Bloom out in front of the field, coming to 2 to go this time by. Austin Bloom looking to go to victory lane. Austin Bloom down the front straightaway, 2 to go. Coming to 1 lap to go this time by for Austin Bloom. Can he hang on? Bloom leads Williams second, 2 seconds back. Mark Dillon Jr. to pit road, didn't have enough in the tank. Disappointment for Mark Dillon Jr. Unfortunate there for Dillon Jr. Meanwhile, Austin Bloom, 1 lap to go. Austin Bloom played the strategies. And now back out front. Down the back straightaway, Austin Bloom goes. Half a lap away from locking himself in the playoffs into the final 4. Austin Bloom out of turn number 4. He punches his ticket to Homestead. We'll see Austin Bloom in the final 4. Timothy Emanuele comes home second. Nick Sargent going to come home third. Austin Bloom can celebrate. He is now going to the final 4. Great job. Wow. All right. Nice job, nice job. Austin Bloom will see himself into the final 4 next week at Homestead. We'll get ready to talk to him when we can. We can talk to Mr. Bloomy here in just a moment. Celebration is going to begin for Austin Bloom here tonight. Bloomy gets in to the final 4. Well, get ready to talk to him here in just a moment. Austin Bloom pulls it off and getting it done here tonight to become the 4th truck in what we knew was going to be hectic. So, Austin Bloom in. Now the question, did Donahue hold off Mark Dillon Jr. in points? I'm thinking he did, but there is a chance with the stage points. Maybe. We'll see. But unofficially, it'll be Timothy Emanuele, Jared Young, Mr. Austin Bloom, and Ryan O'Donoghue would be your final 4 going to Homestead 1 week from tonight. Great, great racing all evening long. Talk to Mark here. Hey, Mark, buddy, Matt in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, busy talking.
In for, but see. We're waiting on our late race winner here. Still waiting to see. What a night here this evening. You see the win results working their way through. Well, folks, I have no idea where everybody's at, but it was a great night of racing. Thank you guys for coming out. Austin Bloom, Timothy Emanuele in your top 2 here tonight. Congratulations to those guys. We'll be back in 1 week here from Homestead. Thank you guys here tonight.